Amen, amen. We're finishing Hilchos Shabbos.
All right, here we have now, we're continuing in the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe. And the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe, this were speeches that were given in 1992. And last time I was a little bit baffled. Also, I didn't feel good, but the Rebbe talked about 52 years. The previous Rebbe passed away in 42 years. The previous Rebbe passed away in 1950. And the Rebbe took over in 1950, basically. And so 42 years after that, the Rebbe spoke about it. I think it was yesterday, the day before. And that's the 42 years that the Rebbe was speaking about. And basically, the Rebbe said that the previous Rebbe, he was the Mashiach. And that, he had three periods in his life. And the last period was after he passed away until this very day. So he's obviously speaking about himself. Again, just to stress and to reiterate, what's the Rebbe trying to do? What's Chabad trying to do in general? To reorient people's priorities. Our top priority and to the degree it should be an obsession to us is Mashiach. That should be our top priority in the world. The world is so lacking, so, unhealthy until Mashiach comes. We have no idea. And the problem is we get used to it. And we think that any little successes we have or any personal achievements that we make, that's sufficient. That's sufficient. And the Rebbe is trying to tell us that it's not so. It's definitely not so. And all the Maimorim and all the Sichos and all the letters of the Rebbe are only for one purpose, to make us dissatisfied with the world until Mashiach comes. But on the other hand, if people have problems that occupy their minds, so these problems have to be alleviated. And that's what the Rebbe answers in all the Igeris HaKodesh and all the people have other intellectual problems or misconceptions about what life is about, what Judaism is about. So that's what the Maimorim and the Sichas are about, to tell us about how to think about God in a way that the Mashiach is going to bring to, in the streets. Mashiach is going to make it that everyone in the world thinks about God. That's going to be our main motivation for everything we do. But you ask a person, why did you get mad at your next door neighbor? Because he ran over my land. So what are you thinking about? My next door neighbor ran over my lawn. Well, nobody's going to think about those things. People are not going to be thinking selfish thoughts. That's what we just finished learning. People will think only about what does God want. What does God want? Right? There won't be a thing about why are you mad at your next door neighbor. Nobody's going to be mad at their next door neighbor. It could be that you'll go and you'll tell your next door neighbor, listen, it's not proper. You should drive over my lawn. God doesn't like it when people wreck other people's property. I'm sure you want to do what God wants. And the person say, yeah, you're right. I didn't know that I was driving wrong. The world will be according to God's standards and not according to our standards. And our standards, everything goes. Everything goes. Right? We see communism was totally against God. It was a manifesto to get rid of God. And then they would make world peace. Then they would make, and we saw there was just total massacres. They massacred, this Mao Zedong killed like 100 million people. Stalin killed 50 million people. Maybe a little bit less. The numbers are maybe exaggerated. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're exaggerated. They're unexaggerated. Who knows? But they killed a lot of people. There's for sure, right? A lot of people in the name of peace and in the name of this and that. Just incredible. The world, the situation of the world, we cannot comfort ourselves by saying, oh, we have so many Chabad houses and we have so many institutions and there's so much Torah being learned. And that a person we cannot, comfort ourselves or quiet our conscience by saying, listen, it's not so bad. Not so bad. We got good things. I have a family, I have a wife, I have children, I have this, I'm learning, I'm a Jew, I'm living in Israel. The Rebbe is trying to make us bitter. He's trying to make us crushed. All the time the Mashiach is not here. That's what we're supposed to be. What the trick though is that you can't bring Mashiach if you're crushed. You have to be happy. So the only way you can do it is through happiness. But the fact is, deep inside, it should be churning around inside of us. It should be breaking our hearts. Huh? What can we do? The world is supposed to be good and it's not. Okay, so that's what the Rebbe is saying, that we have, don't give up. We have a good sign that it is possible that it happened. I gave the example yesterday, like a person that they, his grandfather gets in his uncle gets in an accident, and his whole brain is crushed, and all of his ramach avorim and his shasag yidim, his lungs and it's all crushed up. Somehow or other he's alive, and they put him on life support, and they say, listen, he's never going to. It's just a matter of moments or days, or who knows, until he's going to die. There's absolutely no point in keeping him alive anymore. It's costing a lot of money. We have to pump blood into him all the time. We have to put blood. Let's just pull out the plug. All of a sudden, the guy wakes up, and he says, "Where am I? What happened? Wow, what happened to my lungs? What happened to my brain? Wow, this is awful." Everybody looks and says, "What's going on? We can't pull out the plug. It could get better." Right? What do you mean it could get better? I'm better already. I already feel good. I feel okay. Here, look, I'm getting out of bed. He starts pulling out the things I got out of bed. And all of a sudden, a day later, he falls back into a coma. So what's everybody going to think? Okay, now we really have to pull out the plug. They said, listen, we don't know what's going on with this guy. But if he got better, it goes against science. It goes against nature. How is it going to be? That's the same way with the world. The world, it's such a natural thing for people to hate each other. And in 1992, they actually got together, the two big enemies, arch enemies, America and Russia. They got together and they declared peace. And there was actually a peace, and it lasted for a while. And okay, that it came back to be the same coma that there was before. But nevertheless, we know that the world is not what we think it is. It's not what we think it is. So you can say, well, what is the real situation? The real situation is the coma, or that he got better. He says, listen, I don't know what the real situation is, but how he got better is just totally beyond us. Just does not make any sense how he got better. All of a sudden he got out and he pulled out. See how he pulled out the injections, and he's walking around. Yeah, okay, we saw it. I even have it on my cellular phone. Look, you could see it actually happened. All right, but maybe that was the fluke. And listen, even if it was a fluke, it doesn't make any difference. The fact that it happened is amazing. Same thing with the world. Maybe the real natural state is there has to be war, and like all these sick maniacs say there's too many people in the world, and that we have to kill people. We have to make whatever it is to limit the number of births. With the more what is it the more abortions there are, the better. This is a very sick, how do you think, the way of looking at the world. But on the other hand, this is the way that 99% of the economists think, because that's nature. That's nature. But all of a sudden, there pops up one person that he invents electricity, he invents this, or he invents this, Nicholas Tesla or something like that. He stands up, they say, oh, listen, maybe one person can stand up and he'll find a solution for all the world's problems. Maybe it could be. Well, that's Mashiach. And Mashiach is and that's what we have to feel. Oh, let's go. And so says the Rebbe that because there was peace for even a short while, it shows that it certainly is possible. And because it happened in the city of the previous Rebbe and in the month of the previous Rebbe, when the previous Rebbe passed away, which that's the sum total of his life, and the month that his successor, who's writing this, took over, they showed that the whole thing is connected to Mashiach. Okay, good. So what are we supposed to do? We got all these ideas, and we got these ideas. So what are we supposed to do actually, practically? What are we supposed to do? Says the Rebbe, first of all, if you remember, we learned yesterday that also it occurred back then, and we are now, in the Torah portion, which is called Mishpatim. Mishpatim means laws, and especially the law of charity. So as the Rebbe said, we have to give charity, we have to give of ourselves to others. Give to ourselves of others. And even more than giving money, if you give a good word, you give a help, that's what's called Gamilat Chasadim, doing acts of kindness. That's even to rich people. doing to everybody. Give, don't think about what you're going to receive. That was the problem with the first man, Adam Rishon. What I'm going to receive. Don't think about what you're going to receive. Just give. Don't worry, God will take care of you. Don't worry. Especially in these days. No safalamayla. In addition to the quality, the special quality of the month of Shvat, which this is the 11th month of the year, which talked about that before. 11 is one above the 10 sefirot, we said. Boim Za'ata, we're coming now to what's the 25th day of the month. The 25th day of the month, that's Thursday. Shesiyamnu kota borchut b'nei Israel. So should be blessed the Jewish people. That was the Rebbe gave the speech on the 27th day of the month. The 27th day of the month. The day that they met in the United Nations was the 26th day of the month, and before that was the 25th. So the Rebbe said, we're coming from the 25th day of the month. The 25th is Kol Tavorchu. Thus, you should bless the Jewish people. This is the blessing of the Kohanim, of the priestly blessing. Levorechet Am Yisrael, to bless the Jewish people with love, Tavka. Love means appreciation. Every human being should appreciate every other human being. Alder says similarly, the blessing of the Kohanim Shemavorech, that bless each and every person of the Jews. Atem to you, Mamlechas Kohanim, you will be for me a nation of priests. The job of the Jewish people is to bring blessing to the whole world. Bischalas, Kol Yom. In the beginning of every day. After you make the blessings of the Torah, right? This is the order of prayer. Get a Jewish prayer book, you'll see. Shetzarichim, you have to say, Metoch Regesh Shel Avos Yisrael, you have to say, Yivrecha, will God bless you and protect you with the love of every Jew. Ukamud Gash, like it's stressed, and Bekach in the Hemshech Hadazeh, in continuation, where it says, Kol Echad, each and every Jew should say, before he begins to pray, before he begins to pray in the morning, this is according to the Arizal, the Hareini, behold, Makabel Alai, I receive on myself, mitzvahs, I say the positive commandment of, love your neighbor as yourself. Like it's explained in the ultimate, the siddur of the first Rebbe of Chabad, which is equal to all mankind. I don't know if everybody else says this, but in Chabad they do say it. I don't know, I should get other siddurs to see if they do. And we should begin prayer by saying, I accept on myself the commandment of loving every Jew as myself. And then when you love every Jew as yourself, you can love every person as yourself. It's much more difficult to love every Jew like yourself than it is to love everybody else. Strangers, you can love them, sure, why not? Jews get on each other's nerves. But and also Iker, Shebirchas Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim, Kolelis includes in it all of the blessings and the ultimate completion. It's above blessing, it's above prayer. It's explained in places that usually blessings bring down to us what's waiting for us in heaven. But for whatever spiritual reasons, it's not coming to us. That's what a blessing is. And prayer comes down to us things that we don't deserve, but it's not sure that it's going to come. A blessing is sure that it's going to come because it's waiting for us. The blessing of the Kohanim does both. It draws down to us things that we don't necessarily deserve, and it draws down for sure. That's the blessing of the Kohanim, of the priests. And the blessing, the main blessing is the blessing of the Geula Mitis Veshlema, the complete redemption of the Jewish people immediately. Well, and after this, after the 25th day, which that says Kol Tavorchu, is the 26th day of the month. 26th day of the month is Friday. That is the gematria of the name of God. The name of God is the numerical value of 26, which we talked about that before in paragraph 3 of this speech. Shekashur, this is attached to the mitzvah of Kol Tavorchu, of blessing the Jewish people by means of the Kohanim, and they blessed in the name of God. What's called the explicit name of God, which is not the case in the time of exile. We don't use the explicit name of God. We use we say Gal instead. When it's written Yud Kei Vav Kei, we say Adon, and even that you're not supposed to say, only in special times. And the preparation of this is by means of the service of the Jewish people. In a way, Shavisi Hashem Negdi Tamid, I put God before me always. Gam Zmanagalos, even in the time of exile. Sha'al Yadeh, by means of this, Mimarim, we speed up, Umzarzim, and we quicken. Such a word, quicken. I know that's such a good word. We speed up and we make faster. And we bring about Gila, the revelation of the name of God in the whole world. The whole world will see and feel that we're being created. After, by means of the blessing of the Kohanim and the Holy Temple. Kashem Shani Nichtav, just like I am written, so am I called. That's how it's going to be. In other words, God's essence will be revealed in the whole world. And after that, so we've already talked about the 25th, that's Ko Tavarech Am Yisrael, that's the blessing of the Kohanim. Kavav is the name of God, which is in the blessing of the Kohanim. And then after that, this Shabbos is going to be the 27th. With the 27th is Zach. Zach of the month. This is Shabbat. Zach means pure. This refers to Shemen Zayat Zach, pure olive oil, for the lamp in the holy temple. Menorah Zav, it was a golden menorah that was pure gold. Mikshachar was one unit. Shalom is this hints at the uniting of all of the souls, the different types of souls of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are compared to the hands, the branches of the menorah, of the candelabra, what is the candle that was in the holy temple. After the 27th is the 28th. What's the Rebbe trying to say over here? Every single day is important, and every single day has a meaning to it. And in fact, every single hour is important, and every moment is important, every second is important. Time is important. It's an unfolding of potential. Then we have the 28th day of the month. That's Sunday, Yom Rishon. That adds koach. This 28 is koach, power, tokef, chozik, and all these things. And afterwards, we have the day before Rosh Chodesh. The day before Rosh Chodesh, that is Kaftet. Rosh Chodesh, Chirush Levana, where the moon becomes new, the 29th. That's when the moon disappears. Rosh Chodesh, Achrei Helam, the Hester of the Erev Rosh Chodesh, 29, the moon goes away. And on the 30th, the moon starts to appear. This indicates the novelty of the Jewish people. She'em atidim, that the Jewish people, they are going to be renewed just like the moon. Right now, the Jewish people, no matter what situation they are dark like the dark moon. And Mashiach is going to make them begin to light up the whole world. Begula mitit shlema, in the future and the total redemption. Ubafrat, and especially when Rosh Chodesh falls on the third day of the month, like this year, it falls on Tuesday, Monday night. That the Rosh Chodesh is going to be on the third day, which the third day was when God created the world. It says on the third day, 2 times God saw what He made, and it was good. It was good twice. And this begins with the good, the greatest good that there can possibly be, and that is the future redemption, and especially a double good, that He doubles good. That's the ideal of doubling. This is connected to the future redemption. And especially this is talking about what month is coming. What's the 11th month of the year? The month of Adar. The month of Adar. Why is everything doubled? It says Lech Lecha. There's all the final letters of the Torah all hint at the future redemption. And there's places where there's sentences where they're doubled, right? Lech Lecha and etc. Doubled Chaf and double pay. Pakadati. The month of Adar, the month of Adar, it says it has a healthy mazal, a healthy spirituality. Liot, because it's the month asher nefach, that the Adar is the month that our pain was transformed into joy, namely the joy of the redemption of Purim. And it says that's the reason that we make, when there happens to be two Adars, which was in the year that the Rebbe was speaking back, there was 2 Adars. This year there's only one. When there was 2 Adars, as it's a question where we make Purim. Should it be in the first Adar, because that's the 11th month? Or should it be in the second Adar, which that's not the 11th month. So the decision is we make it in the second Adar because we want to put the redemption, the saving of the Jews on Purim next to the saving of the Jews on Passover. Mismach Gula Lagula. Purim has to come next to Pesach. It says about the future redemption. In the days of your going out of Egypt, I will show you even bigger miracles. Mismach Gam Shinoi Seder. We'll have the Gula Mitis Vashlema, which comes before, which hopefully will come before the redemption that comes to this Purim. We still have 2.5 weeks to go. And God, any second,
Amen.
just make the whole thing happen. Base of Mikdash will fall down. That's it. Yud Gimel, Yud Base, Lahosiv to add on. Even though that Mismach Gula Lagula, even though that this is talking about, it's talking about Adar Sheni. That's like I'm saying, this year that the Rebbe spoke in 1992, Nun Beit, there were 2 Adars. Sometimes in the Jewish month, in the Jewish year, there's added on another month, and that's called a
Last year
month. And that was there's 2 Adars. So when the Rebbe spoke, there was 2 Adars. This year, there's not. So this is sort of not relevant to us presently now, but because it was relevant back then, so it is relevant now. So here we go. Usually, the second Adar is the one that's put next to Nisan, which is not the case. The first Adar, that this is what we're talking about now. And when we bless the month, so we can say that it's nevertheless it's relevant in any case the month of Adar, which is next to Shvat. And it was even in that year when it's doubled, the first Adar is the most important. Why? From the language of the Mishnah, it says Ein bein Adar Rishon la Adar Sheni. There's no difference between the first Adar and the second Adar, except for reading the Megillah and giving gifts to the Avyonim, giving gifts to poor. On Purim, you're supposed to read the Megillah, and you give gifts to the poor, and you also give charity to the poor, and you also give gifts a person to each other, to your friends. So this implies that in the other things, and in our case, we're talking about the future redemption, they are the same. That in other words, Adar remains the month of redemption, and even more. Even since that it's called Adar, and even more, it's called the first Adar. As mistaber, so it's logical to say that it is the first, even in quality and importance, even when there are 2 Adars. This year there's only 1, so there's no question it's the most important. Like it's stressed in regarding to the 7th day of Adar, when Adar was the day that Moses passed away, and because it was also the day that Moses was born, so this negated the decree of Haman. Nafal pur b'chodesh Adar. Haman threw lots to understand which month to kill, to figure out which month to kill the Jews on. And he came out on Adar, and he thought this is a good month because Moses died on that month. And he didn't know that Moses was also born. Bashiva Asar, he was also born in that month, Moses. That the main thing of Adar is Adar Rishon. That's the month when Moses was born. Similarly, also we find in many other things that Adar refers to the first month of Adar. In any case, our year, even in the Shabbos Mavorchim, which is this Shabbos, when we bless the next month, is the last Shabbos of the month of Shvat, where we announce, according to the Torah, and the custom of the Jews is Torah, that the first month of Adar Rishon is going to come on the 3rd day of the week, Yom Shlishi. So therefore, when the Mashiach comes, and he'll come immediately, and he'll come before Rosh Chodesh, that then the Kodesh HaChadashim then will start to sanctify the months according to the seeing. People, when they see the moon, that's what it used to be. Then it could be that there's maybe Sanhedrin will decide that there's only 1 Adar, that this month is only 1 Adar, and it'll be right next to Nisan, because they can decide when the months are. It won't have to go according to the calendar that Hillel set like 200 like 200 years after the temple was destroyed. We can, in any case, Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. And this is the main thing. Excuse me? Okay, may it be God's will.
Do you mean that they may stop the 2 Adars?
That's right, could be. When the months are declared according to the moon, So it could be that we won't need to declare two udders anymore. Okay, anyway, this is explained other places.
Two others is double mazel also.
If udder is double mazel, then when there's one udder, it's also double mazel. Yehi ratzon, may it be God's will. And this is the main thing, that the geula mitit shlema, that the true redemption by means of the Mashiach will come actually, immediately, really. It shouldn't be just a thing that we talk about and that we wonder about and that we long for, and we sing songs about, and that we can make poems about, and we prepare for, and we make gramatrias about. It should actually happen. That we should actually have the third temple should be here, and all the Jewish people would just suddenly wake up and realize what's going on. And it can happen in 1 second. Like it says that there's going to be bigger miracles in the future redemption than there was going out of Egypt. And it'll be to such a degree, it says that when the Jews went out of Egypt, only 4/5 left. Why? Because they didn't want to go out. They just didn't want to. And so they said, so therefore they died, and it says in the plague of darkness. But in the future redemption, all the Jews will want to go out. That's the point. They'll desire to go out. Now, how can you make all these Jews? You see how Jews are spread out and the terrible, weird things that Jews do in the world, right? They're just totally crazy, opposite common sense, even for sure opposite Torah and the commandments, right? How is it possibly going to be that they're going to change their minds? Well, that's going to be the miracle. The miracle will be that all the Jews all of a sudden realize who they really are. Ubavadai, and certainly there'll be no need to wait until the month of Nisan. It should happen right now. We shouldn't even have to wait till the month of Adar. But for certain, we shouldn't have to wait till the month of Nisan. V'gam lo ad chodesh Adar, samuch leNisan. We shouldn't even have to wait till the month of Adar. It's next to Nisan. Because again, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Jews just to realize who they really are, what the real nature of a Jew really is. And that they've been going opposite, it's like a big total dream. And just like a person wakes up from a dream that no matter how real it is, suddenly realizes, hey, I was wrong, And in the dream, he was just about to decide, should he eat this crocodile or should he fly to, Mars, right? He was, and I didn't know, what should I decide? All of a sudden he wakes up, says, what, the whole thing, there's no crocodile, there's no Mars, and the whole thing is just a big, right? He was about to decide, should he do this sin or should he do that sin or should he do this? All of a sudden he wakes up and realizes, hey, I'm a Jew. I thought God is creating me. What? Everything will just all of a sudden be healthy and good and awake, alive, conscious. That's what it means, return. Do tshuva means to return to consciousness. The Gam also, lo ad chodesh Adar, we won't have to wait for the month of Adar, which is next to Shvat, not even the first Adar. That was years 2 Adars. Because the Mashiach Tzidkeinu was going to come on this Shabbos Mavorchim Adar Rishon. Now the Rebbe was in Shabbos Mavorchim Rishon. He was there, right? And he was, in other words, he was saying he was going to come right now. In the month, and as soon as the month of Shvat finishes, or on Zach Shvat, the day before Zach Shvat, that's Shabbat. That was the Shabbat. This Shabbos also, the 27th day of Shvat, and especially on the Shabbat, which is after Chatzot, which that's when the Rebbe was speaking, after midday, Ubizman Mincha, and the time of Suda Shlishis, which that was when the Rebbe was speaking, which is attached to the future redemption and the third temple. Kainti Alano, so it should be actually, but take it from miyad immediately. In Kol HaPirushim, with all the explanations, what miyad means. Miyad means, including the Rosh Tevis, the first initials of Moshe, David, 1 second, of Moshe, Yisrael, Baal Shem Tov, and David, miyad. And the Rebbe also said that this Mashiach is Menachem, which is the Rebbe's name, and Yosef Yitzchak, and Dovber, which is the previous Rebbe, and Dovber was the father of the previous Rebbe. Okay. David Malchut Mashiach.
I don't qualify.
Call a Pirushim. Who knows? Change your name. Call a Pirushim.
I'm kidding.
Look all. What's I? Look all a Rosh Miyad Mamish Kipashuto. Mamish. Call. Okay. Yes. Okay. This Mamish. It should really happen. Actually, 100%. Certainly, right now, the whole thing is going to change, and we should no matter how much we wait for it, and how much we're prepared for it, and how much we learn about it, it's going to be a big surprise to everybody, and we're waiting for that surprise. Let's do the Yom Yom. Here we go.